He marched 1,000 miles in Zion's camp, buried his wife on the Missouri prairie, and stood shoulder to shoulder with future apostles. Now Warren Parrish sat at the right hand of the prophet, recording sacred words, witnessing heavenly visions, and moving in the highest counsels of the kingdom. This is the story of a man trusted with the closest secrets of the restoration, before those same secrets became the fuel for his rebellion. By the end of 1835, Warren was no longer on the outside looking in. He was Joseph Smith's personal scribe, hired at $15 a month, living and working in the prophet's inner circle. His days were filled with the ordinary labor that undergirded extraordinary work, keeping Joseph's journal, copying revelations, and assisting with church business. He recorded the comings and goings, the visitors, the counsel, the frustrations, and the triumphs. When Joseph was ill or busy, Warren stepped in to keep the record moving. He even helped copy portions into the developing history of the church. Joseph trusted him enough to let him keep the journal at times, a clear sign of deep personal confidence. In December 1835, when Warren fell ill, Joseph wrote tenderly in the very journal Warren had been holding, "Oh, may God heal him, for I believe him to be a faithful friend to me. Therefore my soul delighteth in him." Warren was also present for some of the most sacred moments unfolding in Kirtland. On January 21st, 1836, in the upper room of the unfinished house of the Lord, he recorded one of the most remarkable visions of the Restoration. Joseph and other leaders had gathered for washings and anointings preparatory to the temple dedication. As the prophet described what he saw, Warren's pen captured it, a vision of the celestial kingdom, where Joseph saw his brother Alvin, who had died before baptism, received into glory, along with Adam, Abraham, and others. The vision affirmed that those who had died without knowledge of the gospel could still inherit celestial glory through the Lord's mercy. Warren wrote it down as it flowed from Joseph's lips. The revelation given to Warren months earlier echoed in these moments. Joseph had declared him the Lord's scribe for the Lord's seer, and Joseph taught plainly that this was no symbolic title. The prophet proclaimed that he and his family carried the literal blood of Ephraim, and this lineage was a real divine appointment. Ephraim's descendants were chosen to lead in the last days, to bear the priesthood, gather scattered Israel, and establish Zion as both a holy society and a preparatory government to ready the earth for the second coming of Jesus Christ. Warren, writing for Joseph, this Ephraimite seer, was helping bring forth the very records and revelations that would power that gathering. But Warren did more than copy journals and record the translation of ancient records. He sat in the private councils and the secret chambers. He attended meetings in the attic rooms of the rising temple, where priesthood leaders discussed the kingdom's direction, the Hebrew school, the upcoming solemn assembly, and the weighty matters of building Zion amid growing external pressure and internal strain. He witnessed the high expectations placed on the inner circle. Joseph was pouring out revelations, organizing quorums, and preparing the saints for an endowment of power. Warren helped record rules and regulations for the temple, minutes of high councils, and the unfolding work of the 70. As a member of that quorum himself, he carried dual responsibilities: scribe by day, missionary and leader by calling. To the faithful eye, these were glory days, the temple rising, visions descending, ancient records unfolding through the gift of a seer from Ephraim's line. Warren stood at the very center, trusted with sacred things. Yet later, after the bank collapsed and faith fractured, Warren would look back on these same years with different eyes. In an 1838 letter to the Painesville Republican, he wrote that he had attended him, Joseph, in the private councils, in the secret chambers, and in public exhibition. Warren claimed to have seen iniquity among the leaders, including drunkenness at solemn assemblies and other failings. What he once recorded as heavenly outpourings, he later portrayed as evidence of fallen leadership. How could the same man who penned visions of the celestial kingdom and helped translate the book of Abraham come to view the prophet he had served as a fallen leader? What did Warren truly see in those inner circles? And what did disappointment cause him to reinterpret? Warren Parrish had been promised knowledge of hidden things and hidden languages. He had written for the Lord's seer from the bloodline of Ephraim, chosen to gather Israel and establish Zion. He had sat in the secret chambers where the preparatory kingdom took shape. As Mormon history detective, I'm asking, how did the faithful scribe who recorded heavenly visions and sacred translations later claim he had witnessed such iniquity that he would turn against the very prophet whose words he once treasured? Warren Parrish's story is one of the most dramatic rises and falls in church history. If you're enjoying this series, please subscribe and join us as we follow the man who sat at Joseph's side until he didn't.